The first change isn't dramatic. No confrontation, no big moment, no shift you can point to. It's quieter than that. The constant push disappears, the noise settles, and in that silence, something you couldn't see before becomes visible. Because here's what most men never realize. Your intensity wasn't just showing interest. It was carrying the entire experience. Your reactions filled every gap. Your effort kept things moving, even when the other side was barely showing up. Your attention smoothed over inconsistencies that should have been red flags. And when one person does all of that, the other person doesn't have to do anything. So when you stop, you're not removing connection. You're removing the overcorrection. You stop compensating for what isn't there. And that opens something up. That opening shifts everything. Not instantly, but consistently. Think about it this way. You're always the first to text. Always the one keeping the conversation alive. Always following up when she goes quiet. And she's comfortable. Why wouldn't she be? You're doing everything. So you stop. Not out of anger, not as a game. Just, you stop doing her half of the work. 3 days pass. You don't reach out. Then she texts. Not because you tricked her, because for the first time, she had to decide on her own whether she wanted to move. And that decision, that small, quiet decision, is where real feeling begins. Because feelings don't deepen when people are carried. They deepen when people choose. When you dial back your reactions, something shifts in the dynamic. You're not becoming cold, you're becoming grounded, present without overreaching, engaged without overinvesting, interested, but not desperate for a response in the next 10 minutes. And that groundedness feels different to her. Less pressure, less urgency. The interaction stops feeling like something that has to be managed and starts feeling like something that can breathe. If there's real interest on her side, she starts leaning in. Not because you withdrew, but because you stopped doing all the emotional labor for both of you. She now has room to experience it on her own terms. You didn't make her feel more by feeling less. You got out of the way. And for the first time, she had room to actually feel something real. Here's where most guys blow it. The quiet starts forming. She gets a little slower to respond. And instead of holding steady, they panic. They double text, start a new topic, find an excuse to reach out. They mistake breathing room for disinterest. So they fill it. And the moment they fill it, she steps back. Don't do that. Because that quiet isn't emptiness. It's contrast. She's comparing how this feels. Slower, calmer, no pressure. Against every other interaction that was loud and reactive and exhausting. And that contrast pulls her attention without you doing a single thing. Emotion doesn't always grow from stimulation. It grows from reflection. When there's room to think, things develop on their own. A thought about you appears without a reason. A small awareness, this feels different. And that difference has weight. Because now she's not reacting to your emotions. She's experiencing her own. That's when behavior starts shifting. She extends conversations she could have ended. She replies to something she normally would have left unread. She reaches out first, not because you prompted her, but because something internally made her want to. Those small actions are the real signal, not what she says, what she does when you're not pushing. The dynamic shifts from one person carrying everything to both sides contributing, and people value what they helped build far more than what was handed to them. Over time, that consistency builds something hard to replace. Not because of intensity, because of structure. She's experienced connection without chaos, without pressure. without having to manage someone else's emotions on top of her own. And once someone experiences that, they notice its absence immediately when it's gone. That's what gives your presence weight. Not because you engineered it, because you didn't disrupt it. This is the shift most men spend years trying to reach. Not control over her, control over themselves. The ability to stay grounded when something feels intense. To not overfill, to not overinvest, to not lose their footing just because someone pulled back slightly. Next time she goes quiet, don't reach for your phone. Hold steady. Watch what happens, because when you stop overfeeding, you don't just change how she experiences you. You become someone who never loses himself again, no matter what she does next.